Brian Catalfamo is a Denver area umpire, worked a championship game 2 years ago, I believe, right, Brian?
Yes, sir.
Down at the Air Force Academy, right?
Yes,
it
was
was to be an awesome experience.
a lot of fun.
So we're gonna start off talking about alignment. I don't think we can do anything right as umpires unless we're in the right position to start with. And so this first play, and we're going to start with working too close and then working back out from where we should be. So this play, you're going to see an umpire that's actually, and ignore the black or the red box. This is all about the umpire. You can see the umpire is lined up in front of the linebackers here. This is not where we want to be. Most of the time when I see our umpires working around the state, we're too deep. I rarely see somebody suicidal wanting to get inside of that. He's just asking for trouble right here. These linebackers are trained to go forward, and he's lucky he didn't get run over hard. I don't think there's any reason for us to be in front of linebackers ever. So we're going to start with too close, and then we're going to go to right where we want to be, the sweet spot. I'm pretty sure this is where Brian works as well. This is where I believe we get the best view and the best movement to the line of scrimmage. And so this umpire is about 6 yards off. He actually could be a little tighter, but I'm guessing, actually I wouldn't even be tighter here because he's got an umpire starting at this point. So this posture, I believe, is perfect. I think his position is just right. And I also believe that if you get used to setting about 6 yards, 5 or 6 yards off the ball, you get that muscle memory of your movement to the line of scrimmage so that you really don't have anything to think about. Once you hit your read on a pass, and I like this umpire, what he does with his feet. I don't mind this little false step right here. You'll see the umpires, let me get him to move here. You'll see his false step forward right here. When he comes up out of his stance, if you have trouble reading pass, I think this is a great way to start. And I've always, when I train umpires, I say, if you take that step, just that ever so slight step forward when you come up out of your stance, I believe it gets your momentum forward. And if it's a pass, your body just goes forward. If it's a run, you stop. It's easier to stop your feet than to get going. And we'll see some plays here where the umpire actually, it takes a second to read, and then all of a sudden it's a jerky motion, and he has trouble seeing the action of the players because he's jumping forward. So let me play this through now. Brian, you got anything else on what we like to see here?
So the only thing I would comment here is I like to be in between the guards, if at all possible. You have to be able to see the ball. That's one of our primary responsibilities. Umpires might need to move wider occasionally, but I like to be in between the guards. And I would say, the pre-read here is, so our responsibility is guard, center, guard, and potentially the right tackle. And so the only two people that are threatened here is the center, because he's got two people over the nose. And so that's really what we're going to key on the initial read, because that right tackle, the defensive end all the way to the left, he's got 2 steps before he's going to get to anybody. And so that's what we should be reading as part of our pre-snap, as well as always count and always signal to the white hat.
Good stuff. And then once this happens, we're gonna go get the ball. So I like good movement. So that's what we're looking for here. All right. So I said we were going to move away from the line of scrimmage with some analysis here. So here's a play where the umpire isn't in horrible position, but I think he can help himself by moving a little tighter. And I think a sweet spot is right off the hip of that near linebacker to the umpire's right. If we were right off his hip, we might not have to get in so much of a hurry. So there's umpires at 7 yards. And here's my comment when we're talking about this particular play. If I were a new umpire and somebody said, well, I need you to be 5, 6 yards off the ball, it feels dangerous right there. And if I were an umpire that was inquisitive, I'd say, well, why? Why do I need to be there? And my answer to that is, there is a place where when a pass happens, when you move forward, it's a clearing house right here. These linebackers are moving forward or sideways. They never back straight up. They're always trained to go forward or lateral. And if you move forward towards the line of scrimmage, all this space is yours, and it clears out for you. So it's a safe space, but also one of the reasons we want to be at the line of scrimmage is we as umpires need to rule on whether the quarterback's feet are beyond the line of scrimmage or not. And one thing that I see a lot of umpires, they want to get in a hurry going from here to the line of scrimmage lightning speed. And if you've ever tried that, you'll notice you see nothing when your body moves that fast. Your eyes are bouncing. You don't see any engagement of players. By the time you end up getting to the line of scrimmage, all the bad stuff has happened and you saw nothing. So I like to talk to our umpires like that last play where there's that false step forward. And in this case, you'll see, they go regular speed here, you'll see the umpire hustling to the line of scrimmage. That's not horrible. But I'm thinking that if we were a step closer and we got used to just flowing to that line of scrimmage, by the time you get to the line of scrimmage, you'll have plenty of time to see that quarterback's feet running up to the line and throwing the ball. There's rarely a hurry to get to the line of scrimmage, but if you don't get here sooner, and we'll see some plays here later where the umpire, because he doesn't move quick enough, he may be right in that crossing route of the tight end. So, yeah, Brian, you got anything to add on this one?
Well, the other thing I would add is if you are tighter to the linebackers, in pregame, go stand in the middle of the defense where you want to be and figure out both sides where the linebackers line up. And then talk to the linebackers and say, hey, I'm off your left hip or whatever. And if you need to move me, just tell me left or right or whatever it is, right? We can help ourselves with a lot of things by doing some things at pregame, talking to the center, talking to the linebackers, saying this is where we're going to be, or even a defensive back, right? I've had defensive backs tell me, can you move to your left? And I will make a step to my left because they know where they're going to go. And it'll just make our lives easier.
Totally agree. All right, so now we're moving back. Now we're 9 yards off the ball, and we are in no man's land.
Yeah, so a couple of things here, right? First of all, he's 9 yards back. If he's in college or the NFL, if he's in college, he's probably good. But I don't like to be outside the tackle, and I like to be square to the line of scrimmage, and he's not. And there's no reason to be 9 yards off the line of scrimmage, honestly, not in high school, not for what we need to do and what our responsibilities are. There's plenty of room right behind those linebackers.
So we're not seeing the action here, but I believe if this route right here of this guy were to be like this, that's the collision point right here when you start back here. And that's why we want to be underneath that just in case that tight end route comes across the middle. And I've been hit, and I've learned a lesson. You got to get in front of that. So here we're going to have an umpire too deep and is not reading pass. And I think it just takes time. I think a lot of times our umpires, they get thrown into this position and may not be ready. Here's a case where we're not reading pass at all. Starting to move to the line of scrimmage. And again, this is dangerous to just sit right there. We have a route coming across. It's dangerous. Let me keep moving here to this one. I'm going to call myself out on this one. So if that face looks familiar, it's the guy in the headphones on your other screen here. So this is, to me, a complete failure. I not only take my eyes off the ball, you can see the snapper's hands are on the ball, and I'm looking somewhere else, and that is a fail. You've got to have your eyes on that football when the snapper's got his hands on it. And not only that, I'm moving. We need to get ourselves set. This might have been before our 40-second play clock, but still, this is just an unacceptable movement on my part as an umpire. Let me show you the next, what it looks like on the other side. See how I'm still moving at the snap? The whole thing starts bad, and now I'm trying to read pass while I'm moving backwards. And I assure you, once I do this little quick movement to get to the line of scrimmage, I saw nothing. And so that's my point here is we need to be still. We need to take that little false step. And if we read pass, we keep going, and your eyes have got to be on the quarterback the whole time. Brian, do you want to add anything to that? Yeah, go ahead, Mike. Glad to hear your voice.
Yeah, thank you. So thanks, number one, for owning your positioning errors. Can you share with the group what it was that was distracting you? To me, I'm thinking maybe you're counting or something. Do you remember?
Mike, no, I wish I had something. I'm guessing, no, to be honest, I think it's a lack of focus and you get lazy. And I think this is the result. I didn't get in position quick enough. Could be late in the game. Looks like my white hat's still moving a little bit. I don't know, but it's this is what to avoid. So no, Mike, I don't know.
The other reason we want to be set as umpires, we have snap. As soon as the center puts his hand on the ball, he cannot remove his hand from the ball, or that's a false start. Additionally, any of the interior linemen that are not on the end of the line, once they put their hand in the dirt, they can't lift that hand up. Right? So if they do, that's a false start, and that's on the umpire to get that. If you're on the end and you have your hand in the dirt, you can get up. A guard that puts his hand in the ground that's covered by a tackle cannot do that. And so we've all been caught. I've been caught before moving, and it sucks, honestly. But we need to be set at the snap and to have finished our count with the white hat as well, so that we can actually officiate the play.
Okay,
so,
we're going to go. Oh, you going to comment?
Yeah, so I was just going to say on this next play, Kurt and I were talking about this earlier. See where the white hat is, where he's basically holding up the offense? That should never actually happen. The umpire should be over the center, over the nose tackle and up, and he should be communicating to his center, and he should know the center's name that he just needs to hold up, right? We don't want players down in stance. We don't want players with their ball, hand on the ball, right? We haven't done anything yet. We're waiting for the ready for play. And so the umpire needs to own this and allow the white hat to be in the position that they need to be in. Kirk, I don't know if you want to add anything. This is, you and I talked about this earlier.
Yeah, totally. I saw this, and I want our white hats to be set. I want them to be back here in position, seeing the whole field. And this probably is pre 40-second play clock. But even then, it's obvious that we're not ready. For whatever reason, the white hat is not blown in the ready for play. I would much rather our white hats trust that the umpire is controlling the lineman. Brian and I talked, umpires, we should be getting the snapper of both teams' first name, because right now, or even before this umpire got back, if he was standing right here, he could say, Billy, don't touch the ball. Billy, stay up. Billy, lineman, stay up. Billy, don't touch the ball. And when they hear their first name, you've got total control of them at this point, and you can even back off the ball a little bit as long as you maintain that eye contact. And if you got their attention, they don't snap the ball.
Yeah, umpires.
So then your white hat can get in position.
Sorry, Kurt.
Say it again.
Umpires need an outside voice, and we should talk with each of the centers pregame and make sure that they understand that there are going to be times when we're going to ask to hold them up, and we're going to talk to them, and we can say, hey, I want you to hold up. I'm going to back up, but just wait until you hear a whistle or whatever it is, right? But we need to use our voice to help communicate to the kids.
Another thing I wanted to mention to the potential umpires on the line here, I used to try to get the snapper's name from the head coach, but that usually created a head coach that became uncomfortable. He didn't even know his snapper's first name. So I started just asking the players during pregame. Hopefully I can actually talk to the center when I'm doing my pregame warm-up stuff, and I can say, hey, what's your first name, and I'll write it down, as opposed to messing with it during the coaches' meeting. I think it's a better time to address it. Yeah. All right, if you're good there, Brian, you got any other thing on there?
Just one last comment about pregame. So if you're my white hat, I actually like to go out about 40 minutes before, because then I know that I can get with who I want to get with to talk to. Kids go and teams are going into locker rooms earlier and earlier. So if you can get out early, there's no reason why you can't go out there and go talk to those kids and just introduce yourself.
I agree. And when you, as an umpire, when you can develop that rapport with a snapper, it's a good thing. A lot of times they're the leader of that offensive line, and you can kind of deal with some stuff too if you gain a little rapport with them. I've also had them turn into shitheads before the game was over, so not an always thing. All right, so I want to talk fumble mechanics. Brian, I'm going to let you lead this one. Let's let this run first, and then we'll come back and.
So a couple of things on this. So I think the umpire's initial positioning is really good. I think as the play starts to his left, you don't want to be walking towards the ball carrier, and you don't want to be walking towards the pile. He can just stay where he's at. If he just takes his left leg and goes backward and just turns, right? And he can just be stationary and officiate. If you notice here, he's going to blow his whistle, and then he's going to point a direction. And the pointing of the direction is the least thing that we need to worry about. If you're going to blow your whistle, in this case, you need to kill the clock, but you should be using an outside voice and saying, white ball, white ball, white ball. The umpire actually comes up and kills it, right? And you can just tell the umpire.
You mean the referee? The referee comes up and kills it.
Yeah, and we can just let the referee signal. But we want to dead ball officiate and not walk towards that pile, because we have players that we want to get separated. So he's worried about signaling. I would say kill it and dead ball officiate and say, I've got a white ball.
Totally agree. There's nothing wrong with delaying this information. We know what we have. So right here, he's got a beanbag out. We're going to kill the clock. You can whistle if you want, but yeah, he immediately wants to show a direction. And I have made the mistake, since I'm exposing just probably a handful of the many sins that I've made on the football field. I have actually pointed the wrong direction by mistake, digging in the pile. So I think it is important that we as umpires, because the white hat's almost always in the vicinity, just holler out the color when you know the name, and you might even need to be digging in here. Just say, I got white ball, touch the jersey, let the white hat signal this. That's what he's there to do. And it looks better. I like a little bit of that build up, that unknown, but yeah, no reason to make that signal the priority.
Just go slow, right? The umpire, he knows which way the ball is going to go, right? He knows who's recovered. Just slow down, take your time, and worry about separating players. We've killed the clock, so we can go from there, right? Just go slow.
I'm going to jump in here and agree with you guys. I think he should stop, set up shop, and officiate. I don't think he needs to be moving towards that pile. I think if he sees the ball's loose and it's recovered, he's in much better position to dead ball officiate that when he keeps his distance. And finishing up, I think one of the wings could very easily have taken the spot where that fumble occurred.
Yeah, that's a good point. The umpire doesn't have forward progress. We just need his help to know who's got that ball, and if he's got to dig it out, get in there, dig it out, and then holler what color of jersey you got. All right, so we're going to move off of fumble recovery and talk about. Okay, this I threw this in. There's not a lot of action here, but when we were looking at the 1A game last week, we had an umpire that, I don't want to say he had happy feet, but he had a lot of movement towards the ball carrier. And I was trying to figure out in my own mind, why was that too much? Why did it look like it was too much? And I put together this clip, or grabbed this clip, to look at the justification for why we don't want to be so close to the runner as an umpire. There's a proper distance to be away from that action. And so in this case, the answer to my question is, my question is, how far away do we want to be? And the answer I'm going to give is, I think we need to have ample mixed colors between us and the ball carrier in order to take advantage of the halo. We don't have runner. We don't have forward progress. We don't even have a fumble. We should not be watching the ball at all here. We've got an awareness of where the ball is, but we really need to be far enough away that we have bodies close enough that we can see what's going on. And as an umpire, we're kind of looking in front of the ball, but we got these mixed colors right here. And this is a case where you go, in your head as an umpire, you're seeing 81 turn against the grain, and you're thinking, don't do it. Ah, geez, you did it, 81. We got to throw a flag on that, because that's unsportsmanlike. There was no reason for him to peel back and pick out a green player, knock him off his feet.
Yeah, so the other comment, right, is anytime anybody's swimming upstream, it doesn't matter on what the play is, and somebody flashes going the wrong way, that should raise our antenna. The other thing that this umpire does really good, right, is he throws his flag, gets it to the spot, but he continues to officiate, right? because again, at the top of the screen, we've got mixed colors. And so, when you throw your flag, you're not done officiating. There's still other things to officiate. So when you throw it, make sure that you continue to officiate.
We should throw it to a quiet place. I think that's Terrence Miles' comment. We throw it to a quiet place. We're not going to throw it right at some body, get it close to their helmet, get it stuck in their face mask. Just put it in a quiet space near where the foul occurred.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. So we have a foul, right? 71 or 81 or whatever number, 81 comes back, and we have a block in the back, right? And so the way that we're going to administer this penalty, right, because the spot of the foul is behind the end of the run, is we're going to go from the 39-yard line and we're going to go back 10 yards, correct?
I think I might have even called unnecessary roughness on that.
So if it's a personal foul, unnecessary roughness, right? That'll be 15 yards from the spot of that foul, and then since this is a live ball foul, we'll replay the down.
Yep. If they decline it, it's a first down. So
right.
It's one of those plays where Mike Kelly would say, "We don't need to talk to the coach. We know what to do here."
Now
Mike signals, and we move the ball, and we're ready to go.
Right. Now let's play the what if game, right? So if this is a fourth down play that they went for, and this is a dead ball foul, right?
Yeah. So this action right here happened after the play had ended, right here.
Right. So we have the line to gain, right? The line to gain was the 37. So the down's going to count, correct?
Correct.
So it's a dead ball. The down counts, but they got the line to gain, right? It's dead ball. So then we're going to go 15 yards from the spot of that foul backwards, and it's still going to be A's 1st and 10 ball, correct?
Yep, correct.
Does that make sense?
So we're going back 15 from here, 1st and 10.
And the umpires, right? We've got to help our white hat, right, communicate properly what we have when we have fouls and penalty enforcements and status of the clock and things of that nature.
Actually, this is an incorrect statement here, Brian. This is not where we would administer that foul. If this is the end of the run and that's a dead ball foul, we'd go from here. That was my mistake.
Yeah, right.
My mistake.
No, you had it right. We're going to go from the 39, the spot of that foul. They still had it, right? And we're going to go from there. Or did I miss something? I might have missed something.
That would be the end of the run if it was a dead ball foul.
Yeah.
Although in this case, you know what, Brian? We're actually backwards here. This foul was by the defense. So there might be a lot more in that what if that I don't want to get wrapped around the axle anymore on this. But I think, green.
Yeah, sorry.
So 81 was the defense.
Oh, so we're going to go the other way. Yeah, that's correct. Sorry, I thought this is the one, the white. Sorry.
Yeah, that would be the more natural situation to be in, where an offensive lineman peels back and knocks down a player. Okay, we're going to go. All right, so this is, I don't know why these were out of order. So I thought this umpire, and again, we have an umpire that may not be ready to work an umpire position yet, and that's on us as trainers. The umpire, in this case, lined up too deep and really just does not have good flow, a good recognition of the play. I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but we got to move towards the action. We're watching where the bill of the hat is looking, and I think we just got to be more engaged. I think I've got a couple of those. I'm not going to show them both.
Yeah, he wants to be out ahead of the runner. He should be looking up towards the top of the chains, not towards the back of the chains.
All right, so now we're going to do something a little different. We've got an ump cam. So hopefully it comes through on your end. It's a great image on mine. I feel bad that you guys don't get to see this clear, crisp image. So what I wanted to do, again, if we had some umpires that weren't that are want to be umpires, I want to look at some of these reads that we use. So we're going to line up as umpires opposite the white hat, typically. I would prefer not to be on the left side of the ball if my white hat's over here. And the reason for that, it's a little bit of an illusion here. I'm about 5 yards, 6 yards off the ball behind the linebackers, even though you can't see the linebacker's shoulder probably right in front of me. As umpires, we've got guard, center, guard, tackle. The white hat has this backside tackle across from him. So he's looking through the backs, and it should be able to see this tackle over here. The tight end is the responsibility of the wing. So we've got these 4 guys. And something I learned at a clinic 10 years ago, somebody mentioned that you see more. Actually, I think it was Walt Anderson. You see more when your eyes are still. And the other thing you see better is if you are looking at one thing. In other words, you just pick something, whether it's that shoulder right there, the ball, his shoulder, his helmet. When you focus your eyes on something, you actually see in the peripheral real well. If your eyes were darting around here, looking over here, and then looking over there, you miss and you don't see as well. So I have learned to train myself, just focus on something. Maybe it's that forearm. I like to be able to see the ball. Maybe it's the ball. And then you'll be able to see any false starts out of these other guys next to him. Brian, you got anything else to add to that?
The only other thing I would add is try to understand who your best defensive lineman is. And the reason I say that is because normally bad things will happen to that person, not that they won't happen to other people, right? But if your best defensive lineman happens to be over that left tackle over the right tackle on your left, you might want to cheat a little bit depending on how close he is to the line of scrimmage. And in this one, right, Kirk's got a stunt that's going here where 55 is going to go behind 81, right? And so as soon as 81 gets double teamed, you should leave that block, if that makes sense. Because more often than not, 2 guys that are standing up on a double team, there's not going to be any holding. So now you're going to want to make sure you understand what's going on with 55.
Explain a little more when you say you're not going to have holding. I totally agree with your premise there. Talk more about that.
2-on-1 blocks where they're both standing up, unless somebody suplexes a guy, you're not going to call holding. You're gonna say that one guy is just going up against 2, and you want to leave that block and get to a threat where it's more one-on-one. Generally, right, if it's 2 large offensive linemen against 1, you're going to give the benefit of the doubt to the 2 offensive linemen. Not saying that you can't have holding, but you want to clear blocks and get to your threats so that you can officiate the biggest threat for that particular play. Does that make sense?
Yep, and I agree with you. Now, there is a chance that if a player is good enough and he breaks through a double team, and now you've got one of those double team blockers reaching out and grabbing cloth, that's a different story. But I agree, when it takes 2 blockers to take on a defender, there's just an assumption that there's going to be enough position and manpower that you wouldn't over officiate that contact and look for a holding call.
I mean, in high school, we're at a disadvantage, right? There's only 5 officials on the field, right? And so we have to kind of pick and choose what we're going to pay attention to. And as soon as a double team happens, I'm off that block and I'm going on to the next block and the next threat. And since this quarterback is attempting to roll out to his right, my left, I'm going to start, going towards the line of scrimmage and focusing on threats to the left, because that guy that gets double teamed, I got to get off that block.
So this play, what I wanted to highlight is, again, those of you that don't umpire, the vantage point of spinning. And so we talk about when that ball leaves the quarterback's hand and it's in this cone where we've got vulnerabilities from our wing and back judge position to see a trap ball. And this particular play, the umpire spins. You can see the vantage point that we have as an umpire after that ball leaves and what that looks like. If that ball were to be dropped, we might be able to see this. this wing official on the upper end here, he may not see a trap ball or that ball touch the ground right here. Back judge might be straight line, things like that. So we may be the only one that catches a quick glimpse of that. Now, we don't need to spin on every pass. We really want to pick and choose the passes where the crew is vulnerable. And the umpire, in this case, judges this pass to be one to take a quick look at.
Yeah, you'll get a feel as an umpire, if he's chucking the ball way deep or if it's somewhat over the middle and behind you. And, again, we have to pick our battles, and we got to be able to turn around and help on short passes over the middle or over into the semi-flat areas.
So another thing I want to highlight, those of you that don't umpire, what we read as umpires are the feet movement here and the blocks that these, typically as an umpire, I'm looking at these three guys and what they're going to do. And so you see what they do at the snap is take a step backwards. That is a run. I'm sorry, that is a pass, not a run. And so when they step backwards, I think of that as a magnet, and it just pulls me towards that line of scrimmage. And you'll see, as an umpire, it just brings you towards the line. In this case, you don't even have to be there. But in this case, the umpire is about right in line with that line of scrimmage in the event that quarterback would have rolled out.
Yeah.
If we have a running play coming up here too.
Sorry, Kirk. Sometimes the high school guys will actually tell you the play. I've watched offensive linemen that when they put their hand in the ground, it's run. When they don't put a hand in the ground, it's pass. They'll tell you exactly what's going to happen sometimes.
Yeah, their body position in stance is a good indicator. Let me see if I can get this lined up. So this particular play followed a timeout. And so, again, we as umpires, we talked earlier about how we want to control the ball until it's ready. And in this case, I point at the white hat to make sure that we're good to go. I will, unfortunately, the long snappers, we usually don't have their name. So it's not as critical to be in a position immediately, and they're rarely in a hurry up when they're kicking this field goal. So in this case, we get it ready for play. We can back off. I think Brian does this as well. Anytime we have a snapper in a scrimmage kick or scoring kick formation, I bark to these defensive linemen, stay off the snapper, and I've never had an issue. When they know that you're paying attention to that, they're aware they can't drive a shoulder through that snapper, and they stay off of it. You want to add anything there, Brian?
No, you're correct, Kurt. I do the same thing. I tell them all to stay off the snapper.
Now, what happens after a field goal and after a touchdown on the try, it is critical that we as umpires move into this stuff going on right here and be vocal and clean it up and tell them to get to the sideline so that you don't have a knee to the groin right here and this player kicking that player. I always talk about how when one team is happy and the other one's pissed, that's bad ingredients for trouble. And this is a moment. You got players on their back. I usually come in and holler, get to the sideline, everybody out, get to the sideline, and I hope my wings are coming in, or the wing that's there does the same thing. Okay, so here we're going to read run. And we've got some cloth. Again, I don't know how clear this is on your end, but we're going to read these blocks right here, and we're going to read run by the way they angle block. So they're coming forward. So we're going to see a tug right here. And I don't see enough restriction. Not only that, but I've got some help coming right here. So even if his body would have been affected, we got another player in the way. I got nothing right there. We'll leave that alone. Now we're going to look, our eyes are going to go up here. Again, we don't officiate the football. We're officiating these blocks. So now all of a sudden I got a tug on a jersey or a tug on a shoulder right here maybe. So out of the corner of my eye, I'm starting to watch this block right here develop. And as you see it develop, now I see an offensive player gaining an advantage. You know, we always say when you cheat or when you're beat, you cheat. This offensive player is getting into body position over this player. I would say this is close. I think there's a suspect hold right here on this back jersey. I don't believe I got this, but I do pay a lot of attention to the footwork of this guy right here. When his feet are able to get over here and he gets his body between the defender and the runner, That's a critical piece of information for me not to throw the flag. Now, if he did it by cheating, that's a different story.
Yeah, I think the other thing here, Kirk, too, is right. By the time there's more of a tug on that defender's right shoulder, the ball carrier is about 3 yards past him. And from that perspective, it then becomes non-material to the play. And that's not a flag we want.
Very good point.
I don't think it's a hold. I don't think either one of these were a hold. But we want flags that are material to the play. And we want flags where it's a really good standard. And somebody in the stands can say, oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yep. Good point. All right, we've got next one is umpire's got a very good read. Okay, so we're back to the press box view. So the umpire gets a great read, great jump on the read. This umpire actually moves quickly to the line of scrimmage. He's got great position. I don't think he needs to get there that fast, but that's not a bad thing. As long as he's able to see what he needs to see, and he gets there quick enough because it's only 5 yards, and he gets that read so quick that I think he's still able to get set and see the action that he needs to see. So I think this is actually a good mechanic, and he sees a lot right there. Okay, this is another good read. Let's look at the movement in this particular case as well. So I got the umpire circled. Umpire's not quite in position, but now we're starting to see that interaction with some offensive players. So again, I think we got to get set here. We're not ready to go.
Yeah, I think on this one you'll see from the end zone view, he actually turns away from the ball, and the center has his hand on the ball, and he's, for whatever reason, looking at the sideline. This will be a really good view of it. He's going to look way to his right. And I would say, arguably, if he would just stay right where he's at, he's in good enough position. He doesn't need to go outside the tackle.
Yeah, there you go. That's that taking eyes off that football right here. That's not good.
I mean, honestly, we never want to be officiating error. And I don't know why he's looking to his right, but at that time, once the center puts his hand on the ball, we need to be stationary and watching that action.
And when we get a good read and we're coming forward, if he was set and got in front of this route right here that's just about to clip him, that guy, we need to be in front of that. And I think we would get there if we were 5 yards off the ball, we read pass and move towards the line of scrimmage, we get underneath it. Okay, another spin on a pass. Good position, move toward the line of scrimmage. You can see the spin just enough to see what happens here. And these are crew savers because these can be very tough to see from the side. And we've got a great advantage point. All we got to do is quickly take a look right where that ball is caught or dropped. So in this case, and I also wanted to point out, we do not have a catch signal. We don't want to come in as umpires with a catch signal because about the time we do that, a wing official is going to wave it off as no good. The only signal we have is incomplete pass. If you've got it incomplete, you're going to come in and you're going to sell it because you've got the best seat in the house, whether you want to tap on the ground or just wave it off strong if you've got it incomplete. If you don't have anything or don't know what you have because you just didn't get a good enough look at it, come up to the ball and wait for the wings to come in. Maybe a back judge will come in and talk. If you have a catch, in this case, if you had your awareness of where the line to gain was, you could kill the clock. But there's really, I think the action, you're just going to come into the ball. And if you have no information, you're just going to come in and get that football and wait for somebody else to come in and talk and get information from you if they think you've got some. Anything else on that, Brian?
The only other thing I would say is you should be able to see the line to gain and where the head linesman is. So that would give you a clear indication that they're past the line to gain. And so if you have a catch, you can kill it, right? If you saw it, just kill it, and go up to the line to gain. If it's in an incomplete pass, you've killed the clock. If you have it as a completed catch and you're past the line to gain, we're going to kill the clock, set the chains, and go.
Okay, let's go. This is I pulled this out because I think it's an unnecessary spin. And so after a while, you'll learn when you're needed as an umpire to spin and when you're not. And when there's air underneath this football, and I'm not 100% positive he spins here, but it looks like he's going to rotate. He may not. So this may not be a good example. But this would not be a play we need to rotate. Let's keep our eyes on this scrum because we're really not needing to help. We probably can't even help because that pass is so deep anyway. And if you look at the angles of the wings, we'll look at this line judge. I'll stop it when we get his vantage point of this catch right here. We got good eyes right here to help the back judge. There's probably the same thing from the other side. So we don't need to spin on every pass. So this one I've got bad read. So it took a while to read the pass for whatever reason. The umpire doesn't read pass, but gets in a spin, and I think it's probably very helpful. Although the ball did look like it came right past his ear. He kind of had to duck. But he's got a catch. He's helping here with the catch. Let's see what he does with his signal. I think it's fourth down, which is part of the issue. And I've tried to figure out exactly what happens next. I believe this umpire is aware that the white hat threw up roughing the quarterback or roughing the passer, and I think that's why he rotates here to come back to the action. But I just wanted to show a good spin, even though we had a bad read on the pass.
The only other thing I would add is for the vast majority of the time, umpires, there is no reason to blow your whistle during a play. Unless that dude or dudette is right at your feet, really, there's no reason to worry about blowing your whistle. Everybody else has got it. I wouldn't be concerned with blowing the whistle, honestly.
Okay. Do that, huh? I think we've got enough pass spinning. Let's see if this one's got anything different than the rest. So I think this one we probably could have had some help from the umpire. It's just this is kind of in a no man's land, whether or not, and that ball's got some air underneath it. We're probably okay to not spin on this one.
Yeah, just.
But I suppose. Go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to say we talked with we talked RPOs a couple of weeks ago, right? Understand the kind of offense that they're running and understand what they like to do, right? Do some pregame work, go watch some film, and understand the offenses that they're running. And if they throw quick passes, you're not going to get to the line of scrimmage, so don't try. Spin and turn and try to help officiate, right? We want to officiate the play, and if they throw quick outs like this, there's no reason to move towards the line of scrimmage. So know the kind of offenses that you're going up against.
Okay, I want to show, this is actually this last year's championship game. I want to show just, again, ball movement, dead ball officiating, how we're coming in. As umpires, we like the scrums. We like to be in the middle of piles because they're used to hearing our voice. And so what I typically say is when we've got a single tackler like this, we don't need to monkey with that. Our wings can take care of that. But when we end up with multiple tacklers in a pile, that's where we need to be. This particular case, the umpire is aware of this nonsense that's going to start right there, and you get a flop, and you got arms coming up in the air, and then all of a sudden somebody gets pissed, and now you got to go take care of it. So that's why I wanted to show we cannot stop officiating as umpires, even though we're moving towards that ball. So I think this is another play where the umpire comes over to the action. We've got a bunch of bodies in here. This is our stuff, umpires. This is where we belong. We come in hard. We're loud. We're talking to them, making them aware you're there. Solo tackles aren't as critical, but when we've got a bunch of tacklers, we want to be in there. That's all us. Another chance to watch an umpire move to the football at the end of the play. Again, multiple tacklers. Umpire comes in, making noise. Everybody up, back in the huddle. Catches the ball. Notice that we're not stopping at the hash mark. You still see some umpires that stop at the hash. We want our back judge staying back and our white hat staying back, dead ball officiating this stuff, unless it goes into the bench, and then that's a whole different story.
And tell the players, good job, right? When they when they do something that you've asked them to do, or you've asked them to stop doing something and then they do it, talk to the players and tell them, hey, that's a good job, or hey, 74, great job not holding, or whatever it is, right? That helps us build a rapport, and that helps us do some preventive officiating.
So we talk about with the 40-second play clock, you'll see the umpire set the ball and go in position. We don't stand up and give the number of downs to the wings. We put it and go. Set it down and get in position. Let the offense dictate the tempo. It allows us to get in position. All right, this one I'm going to be critical of the umpire, and I've done this, so this is on me as well. You see how the umpire comes up. It's a running play. No, I'm sorry. It is a pass play. Might be a.
This is the delayed draw that he scrambled on this one.
Yeah, so this is a pass play. So the umpire properly moves towards the ball, becomes a run, and the thing that I don't like is at the end of this play, you'll see the umpire be between the ball and the wing. So our umpire rotates around here, and I've been guilty of this too. If there's a way we can stay on the downfield side of this action, we're going to help the view lane of our wing official. If this had happened to be at this line to gain, it would have been a problem because our wing might not have been able to see where the ball actually landed. So umpires, be careful not to wrap around here. Similar to the way we don't want to be standing on the goal line. We really don't want to be lined up between the sideline official and that end of the run. Actually, I think that was fourth down, so that would be a more critical reason not to be in line with the wing official. I think this is my comment of set it and go. You'll see the umpire bring the ball back in, set the ball down, get in position. It's exactly what we want to see.
Yeah, and that's really important, right, Kirk? In the 2 minutes, right? When there's less than 2 minutes in the half, the umpires need to go get the ball. We don't want to be chucking it all over the field, and we want to get it down on the ground, and we want to get out of the way.
That is a great point. I'm glad you brought that up. Anytime we're inside of 2 minutes, my crew is well aware that I will go get that football off the ground, or I will grab it out of the wing official's hands, because I don't want any ball tossed. Because if that ball is bouncing around and the clock is ticking, we've got an irate team that's trying to run their hurry-up offense. So I like to see umpires go get the football. Don't hustle any faster than you have the rest of the game. Obviously, when you walk like that, if these guys were in a 2-minute offense, which they're not here, that probably doesn't look swift enough, so we need a little hustle. All right, the last thing I want to show, we're at 8:27. I want to show a measurement. Sometimes we don't get to see what a measurement looks like and how we should do it. And so I want to, if we've got some new umpires, I want to look at, we got our umpire signaling clock stop. I believe we're very near the line to gain. Again, he might be in line with this wing's view of this. So they're going from right to left on my screen. I think they are on yours too. And so here the umpire is getting in the way of the spot from the wing official. I like the crashing wing official on the top. The umpire will hand the ball to the wing official, or it'll be handed by the player. But we wouldn't want to toss anything. We'd want to hand that ball to the wing and let him put the ball at his feet. What we definitely don't want to do is put the ball on the ground and then go, oh no, we have to measure it and then take it out there. So we've got to be aware of where that line to gain is. And so here the chains will come in. Let me see if I can move this faster. Umpires, I like a vertical stick. Pull that stick vertical. If it's short, we can send the chains back, leave the ball where it is. Any comments on that, Brian? I think that's all I've got for tonight.
No, I think that's good. The only other thing I would mention is at the end of a measurement or a penalty enforcement, I like to know the status of the ball so I can remind the white hat, hey, it's a hot clock, we're down, whatever it is, right? I think it's very important that everybody knows status of the clock and things of that nature to communicate, so that when this chain gets reset and everybody's in position and the white hat signals the ready for play, we know exactly what the status of the clock is and we can go.
I like that communication right here. This is a good time to, the play just ended. We decided to measure it. Let's talk through what the clock status and what the down is if we're short. I think that's all great stuff. Great communication right there. All right, we better hang up here. I got 8:30 on the clock. Brian, thank you for rallying and getting this fired up. Mike Kelly, you got anything is there anything on there that we left out on the chat?
No, the only thing I have is great job, guys. Thanks a lot.
Well, thank you, and thank you guys all for joining us tonight. We'll have campaign on Tuesday night. If you want to play poker, let me know. We're playing poker tomorrow night online as referees. So send me an email if you want to play poker tonight. Good night, all.
Thanks, everybody. Be safe.